Good morning, world. It is a little after 10 a.m. here in the morning at Southwest Florida in my kitchen, and I am going to be making, well, I'm going to start over here. We're going to make baked macaroni and some candied sweet potatoes, and the macaroni can go ahead and go in now. So I've got the oven on. I made this last night, so I'm going to go ahead and put that in and set that for 20 minutes because it's only half a recipe, so I don't think it's going to take that long. So then I'm going to get the sweet potatoes here. And I've already cooked the sweet potatoes, but what we need to do is move them around in the dish. And then we're going to add some, basically brown sugar and a little butter. Okay, so we'll just move that around. I'm going to say these are all baked and kind of chopped up. I baked them yesterday, so they would be all ready to go. And then of course peeled them. So now let me get my butter. And the recipe has exact measurements for this, and I don't go by the exact measurements because it's an awful lot of butter and stuff. It doesn't need quite as much as it does. So I just put like a couple tablespoons of butter around here. And I didn't find that the amount that it tells you really is, it doesn't add to it, so you could cut it down a little bit here. There we go. I'm just going to put some pats of butter around like that. And also the brown sugar, I end up using only about half of what it says just because it saves calories a little bit. So you can, of course, put as much as you want in there. So one other thing I'm going to do, I don't usually do this, but I'm going to do it today just because I'm always thinking it needs a little salt. So I'm going to add, salt and sweet go together. Although my mother doesn't think so. I go, you don't need salt on it, it's sweet. So let's don't tell her I'm salting it, because it will be better. Salt and sweet go together. I think she doesn't know that. Or she doesn't remember it, I don't know. So I'm going to take the brown sugar. I'm actually going to need more than this, than what's in this. And let me get another package of it. I didn't realize it was that low. I know I saw another package in here. Where are you? Here you are. Okay. So we will see how much we've got here. Stick it in here. Trying to bang it loose. Just move it with my hand. There we go. So that's probably about 3/4 of a cup right there. Let's sprinkle that around. And these are 4 sweet potatoes. It needs probably about 1.5 cups. And just, of course, the more you put in, the sweeter it'll be. Let's cut open our bag here. Mess for me here. I'm not to make the mess, but it's kind of doing it. Okay. Let's try like that much again. Okay. Then we'll put that bag in my container. I'll just sprinkle that in, then we're going to spread it around. And then we're going to bake this uncovered. The macaroni is also baking uncovered. Now this actually tells you to do it, I think, at 375, but I've got the oven on 350 for the macaroni. So it's just going to have to live with 350, which it can. It just take a little longer. All right, so we're going to put my brown sugar in the holder. And if you've ever used one of these, they work really well. Get this little disc. And it's just drop it in there. It's specifically meant to keep your brown sugar from getting hard. It keeps it soft. Just make sure you don't eat that thing. But it does work. Okay, so then I'm going to take a little water, and I also put a whole lot less water than it says in the recipe. Because it's going to make a lot of water, and I don't want it like real runny. And I don't want to have to bake it so long that it takes forever for the water to bake out. So this cuts down my baking time too. I just put enough water in here to dampen the sugar, and you need to get it wet everywhere or you'll have like little hard rocks, unless that's what if you want real crunchy. If you like it real crunchy, you don't have to hit every spot. But this enables the sugar to kind of dissolve down into it better if you get it wet. But I only just do enough water to barely get here. Whatever minimum it takes to get all this wet. There we go. Then we're going to put this in the oven, the macaroni. Then, this is going to take about 45 minutes. Then I'm going to make my apple cake, which I've made before. It's so good. Okay, that's pretty good right there. Let me get the sugar off my hands. Okay, so we've got 15 minutes right there left in the oven with the macaroni. And those are both starting off cold too, so we have to take into consideration that. Might take a little longer because I had those in the refrigerator. Okay, so let's go over here to my mixer and start with our recipe. So let me get this pulled up here. So we're going to put in here, what does it say to start with? Oh, I didn't get out the eggs. Let me get out the eggs. Is it 2 eggs? They don't put the ingredients in order in this thing. For some reason, they don't do that. How many eggs do I have in here? 2. Just perfect. Okay. So we're going to put 2 eggs in here. I just sloshed it down the side. Two eggs. And then we're going to add to the 2 eggs. Let's go ahead and mix that for a minute. Okay. Then we're going to add in here eggs and oil. Okay, so the oil we need is a cup of oil. It says vegetable oil. I'm using canola oil. You use whatever oil you want. Okay, there we go. Let's pour that in. I usually let that sit for a minute, if it'll stay, to drip in there. There we go. Okay, after that, we're going to add the cinnamon, the sugars, and the vanilla. Okay. So let's mix this a little. Okay, so let's add in a cup of dark brown sugar. Now this is different than the one I had. I had light brown sugar for the sweet potatoes. This is dark brown sugar. You can use light brown if you don't have dark brown sugar, and this does not want to. And they glued this one good shut really tight. There we go. Cup. I can't find dark brown sugar, at least not the one that says it's made from cane sugar. I can't find that in a bigger container. You can find it, the generic one, but it doesn't say it's made with cane sugar, which means it could be made with beet sugar, which would still taste the same, but they say it doesn't bake as well. So I'm looking for the one that says cane sugar, and I can only find it in the smaller boxes. Well, that's okay, so it'll stay fresh better in the smaller box. I can find the others. Maybe it's just not at my store. I don't know. And dark brown sugar maybe isn't as popular as light brown sugar for recipes. Then you have to press that down. Brown sugar always gets pressed, always gets packed tightly into the measuring cup. There we go. Keep losing little pieces here. We're just about there. Oops, I don't want that much. I don't think I need quite that much more. Probably just that. There we go. Alright, let's put this back in the box. Oh, this makes your hand so sticky. Oops. Everybody is either out or sleeping in today. Okay, there we go. Get this off my hands. Okay, dump that in. Let's mix that real quick. Okay, so then we're going to have half a cup of white sugar. Half a cup. Of lumpy white sugar. That's what happens when it gets damp. There we go. Half a cup of white sugar. And then we need a tablespoon of cinnamon. I sure do wish they would put these ingredients in order in this recipe. Every time I'm like, where's the cinnamon? Where's the cinnamon? Okay, tablespoon of cinnamon. See if I have a tablespoon still left in here. Yeah, I do. Okay, tablespoon of cinnamon. And then also it asks for a teaspoon of vanilla. Teaspoon of vanilla. Now let's mix that together. Ooh, look how nice and dark. Okay, so then we're going to add flour, soda, baking soda, and baking powder. Flour, salt, baking soda, baking powder. Okay, so the flour, you can also add chopped walnuts to this if you want. I don't put nuts in it, but you can put a half a cup of chopped walnuts if you'd like that. So we're going to add, let me see where to put the flour. Oh, it's at the front. 2 cups of flour. One day I'm going to take this and print this out in the right order. I did not make up this recipe, but whoever did just randomly put stuff in there. I'm used to stuff, you know, being in the order of the order that you put it in. Makes much more sense, doesn't it? Okay, so I got my flour here. This is my 2-cup measure. And I'm going to level it off. Okay, there's your 2 cups of flour. I missed a spot over here. Ah! I didn't want it to do that. There we go. 2 cups of flour. This measuring thing barely fits down in. There we go. Then we want a half a teaspoon of baking powder. half a teaspoon of baking powder, half a teaspoon of baking soda, and half a teaspoon of salt. My phone is making music over here. And I'm making it a little high because I got so much rice in here. Takes up half the thing of salt. Okay, there we go. Now, we're going to mix all that together. And this will be a real thick dough. It almost looks like cookie batter. Okay, so then the other thing I do, and you can do this or not, I decided to add this myself. Instead of the walnuts, I add half a cup of raisins, which is totally optional. It doesn't even tell you to do that in the recipe, but I thought, well, since I'm not doing walnuts, let's do raisins. So if you want to do raisins or any kind of dried fruit, you could do sultanas, which are basically white grapes made into raisins. They're not as strong as dark raisins. There we go. Okay, then we're going to just mix those in. Then we just have our apple left and we're done. Okay. Now let's see, if we got 4 minutes left before this macaroni is possibly done. I have to check and see. Alright, so let's take our little chopping board here. And my apple. Now I'm using one Granny Smith apple. I always get the biggest one I can find in the store because it just gives me more apple in it. But it only takes one apple, so it's real easy. Granny Smith is nice because they don't get mushy. They kind of stay firm and keep their shape. So you still keep the texture. And I'm going to wash this apple real quick. One wants to roll. Really bad wants to roll. Okay, so I'm going to take, I think I was going to use the knife. You can use a peeler, a knife, whatever you want. And then we're just going to peel our apple and chop it up. Now, if you want to leave the peeling on, I suppose you can. But I like it peeled better. So we're just going to peel this off. I usually wait till the day of this so I don't the apple doesn't brown. You can if you want to peel it ahead. I think you can do it like I do potatoes. Just put it in some water and it would probably be fine in your refrigerator. So it's covered. And then it won't brown so much, but it doesn't take all that long to do, so cut it in half and cut those in half again. Oops. Let's don't do that, please. This knife. Let's try another knife. I sharpened one of them. Apparently it wasn't that one. What was this one? Yeah, that's better. Now we are going to check on our Just needs to be sizzling and bubbling. So I'm just taking the core out of the apples, and then we're just going to chop them and put them in that batter and put it in the pan, put it in the oven. We're done here. We are done here. What time is it? Oh, good. 10:37. Or I don't think that's 100% accurate. That clock, what's this one say? 10:39. That microwave clock is worthless. It does not tell you the time right. Okay, we are bubbling and sizzling in never the macaroni, so I'm taking that out. And the other is still doing well. The sweet potatoes. That macaroni's done. So we'll leave that there. So then you're just going to chop like however you want. It just says chop them. So I usually do like this size. But it'll work however you do it. You know, it's kind of bite size. I wouldn't do bigger than that unless you want a big old piece of apple. And then we're just going to take it and put it here in my bowl. And then we're going to, I'm cutting this in about 4 pieces. And we're going to mix it up and we're ready to go. Okay, almost done. All right. This is so good with the cinnamon in here. Just makes your house smell so good. Okay, here you go. Done. So I'm going to take my cake pan, and since I'm not actually going to like remove it from the pan, I'm not going to put down wax paper or parchment. I'm just going to spray it because I'm going to serve it out of that pan, so I don't have to worry about removing it. So then I just spray it. It can stay. So then let's take our bowl. Move mixer out of the way, bowl out of the way, or pan rather, and then let's take the batter off the beater. Loves to stick. This is sticky, sticky, sticky batter. It loves to stick to the beater. This is not at all runny. It is a real thick, thicky, sticky. Try to get the rest of this, and I'm about ready to go do my makeup. I'm actually a little early today. How has that happened? Okay, there we go. Okay. Ooh, there's so much on here. This is quite a production to take all this batter off. Of course, you could just give up and not, do all this work, but I hate to waste it because it is so good. There we go. Let's put this over here. That off my hand. we're going to take our prepared pan. That's a 9-inch pan, by the way. The recipe calls for a 9-inch pan. If you use an 8-inch pan, it's going to take longer to bake. So I always try to get the kind of pan it says if I can. 9-inch round pan. If you can't find 9-inch round pans, I just got this like at Walmart. So you can get these generally in the aisle where they have wedding favors. And they usually have like wedding cake pans. And that's where you get the ones with the straight edges. If you get the name brand is Wilton. But you don't have to have the name brand. Just get the one that's straight edged. And usually, like I said, it's in kind of the wedding favor aisle. And they usually have several sizes in there. You can also get it at like a craft store. Same kind of thing where they have, or you can get all kinds of wedding decorating items. They will have these different size cake pans if you can't just find a 9-inch. That's where the 9-inch is, near the wedding stuff. Either in the craft store or, like I said, even Walmart. But these straight edge pans are so much nicer because you don't get a cake that is baked at an angle. So if you stack layers, which of course we're not doing here, but if you do, if you're stacking layers, you don't have like, the side is not crooked. So baking with a straight edge pan is really the nicest for making layer cakes and stuff. And these are all I use now. I only use these. But see how they don't angle. So if you put layers together, they have straight edges. So you don't have to like fill it in with 8,000 pounds of icing to get the edges together. And they bake really well. They aren't brown pans or dark. They aren't dark pans so that they don't overly brown and burn the edges of your pan. They bake really nice. Okay. So now let's put this in the oven. We're going to set this for 45 minutes. And our sweet potatoes are still in there too. 45 minutes for the cake. And the cake might take a little longer, I don't know. There, let me wish that off my hands again. Wish in my hands. Okay, so let's take, I'm going to show you the macaroni and cheese that's done. So yummy. Okay, so there we go. I am done with my cooking for today. So what we're having is some leftover baked ham that I had in the freezer. It's now nice and thawed. So we're having some baked ham. We're having macaroni and cheese. We're having sweet potatoes with some brown sugar on them. And this apple cake. That's our yummy, yummy dinner. Okay, let me get rid of my apple peels here. See if that works. There it goes. And I am all set. I'm going to go put on my makeup, so I will see you again in a few minutes. And if you're watching the replay, say hello, let me know, and I will see you later. Bye.